Okay, so Rene Godefroy. Rene's story is born an immigrant, born in poverty in Haiti, made his way to America as a dream, and now is one of the best speakers in America on the tour and everything. And he asked a great question because he is probably one of the most positive people I know. But the question he asked is, can you say more about positive expectancy? And I know you kind of framed it, but if somebody wants to begin moving the moment we end this webinar today into creating a more positive expectancy in people, what are two or three things you would say, do this in the next, I don't know, 48 to 72 hours?
Well, I've done a lot of work this year with the great psychologist Price Pritchett, Dr. Price Pritchett,
Yes.
wrote U Squared and Quantum Leap Strategy. He and I actually did a full executive program this year for executives. And I did that because I really wanted to learn under him and study under him. And he wrote a book called Heart Optimism. And he sees optimism as a skill. It's a skill that you can acquire. Like by nature, most people don't know this about me. I'm by nature a defensive pessimist. Like I'm kind of hardwired to see the negative versus the positive. I'm kind of hardwired to focus on what's wrong versus what's right. There's a strategic optimist that typically sees, hey, it's all going to work out. And there's a defensive pessimist that typically thinks of things that could go wrong. Belichick, defensive pessimist. Nick Saban, defensive pessimist, right? Coach Burt's a defensive pessimist. Okay. So having known that, it's like, okay, how do I stay in a positive expectancy place? I stay in a success cycle versus a sewer cycle. And that starts with one thought. Okay. One negative thought takes you to the sewer cycle. It's going to be a hard day. Man, it's hard to sell coaching today. We're in an economy doing this. We're doing this. Okay. That leads you down to negative town. Okay. One positive thought. This is going to be a great interview. I'm excited to be in Houston today. We're going to meet good people. That leads you more toward positive expectancy than going to the sewer cycle. And that's based on the work of Nate Zinsser, who wrote A Confident Mind. So I kind of combine all the people I study. Pritchett, Zinsser is the psychologist at West Point, and he talks about the sewer cycle versus the success cycle. But positive expectancy is, I say the greatness factory is a place of positive expectancy. You get there, we expect good things to happen. We've sourced over $200 million worth of deals there. We've raised 30 million in capital in the last year there and in that building. And somebody said, "Well, you could have done that at Denny's or Waffle House," and I'm like, "I've never raised 30 million at Waffle House." Okay, but I have at the Greatness Factory. So it's like positive expectancy is a tone, and but it is a hard skill. So Hard Optimism is the book that Pritchett wrote that I'd recommend there.
I love that. And who was the author again of A Confident Mind?
Nate Zinsser, A
Nate
Confident Mind,
Zinsser.
who is a psychologist. Yeah, he's a psychologist at West Point, trains all the cadets at West Point.
Yeah, it was interesting in my work with Dr. Martin Seligman. When he wrote Learned Optimism, it was crazy to see that one of the statistics I got out of that is that optimistic salespeople will outperform pessimistic salespeople by 52% minimum. And I
Wow.
started thinking about that. And when I read the book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, which was my first motivational book besides some of the just the Bible stuff that I love reading. But the one thing I took a lot from that book, but I'll never forget the quote that really moved me. It was like there's very little difference between successful people and unsuccessful people, but the little difference makes the biggest difference. The little difference is attitude, and the biggest difference is whether it's positive or not. And that book was written in 1950, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I see that today in our world, that positivity is a joyful way to go forward in business and life. And stuff happens. Our leadership line last week was about, the chaos after creation. And at the end of the day, you can get something good out of everything that is bad.
Yeah.
And it's just a real great recipe for life.